When people walk by the 4 fuel cells or park their car under the photovoltaics in the B2 parking lot, not many really understand what is going on and how beneficial it is to our campus. This is why Tom Brown graciously allowed me and my fellow employee, Varun Bari, to inform you on how these systems utilize energy to power CSUN's campus. Good morning, everyone. My name is Edmund Ablejas, a member of the student design team for CSUN PPM, and I'll be explaining how the 1 megawatt fuel cell works. My co-team member, Varun Bari, will explain about the concentrated photovoltaics, and both of us will explain how each system is important to CSUN's campus. I'll begin by talking about how hydrogen is produced from natural gas within the fuel stack. Then I'll talk about how fuel cells produce their power. Finally, I'll show some numbers and statistics of how the fuel cell is helping our campus. From the beginning, I thought that hydrogen used in fuel cells was taken from ambient air. However, I was wrong. The hydrogen used in our 4 DFC 300 fuel cells is created by natural gas in the fuel stack. We will be following this diagram from a fuel cell energy PDF. In it, we can see that natural hydrocarbon fuel in the form of CH4 on the top left, in a reaction with water, produces hydrogen gas in the fuel stack. Here's a picture of the fuel stack with those who worked on the project in front. From the left, Sean, Tom, Robert, and Mikhail. This 2-step process, called C-methane reforming, is defined by the U.S. Department of Energy. It is made up of 2 equations shown here. The first equation being CH4 plus 1 molecule of water becoming carbon monoxide, 3 molecules of hydrogen, and 191.7 kilojoules per mole of heat. The second equation is carbon monoxide plus water becoming 1 molecule of carbon dioxide, 1 molecule of hydrogen gas, and 40.4 kilojoules per mole of heat. Together, these equations become CH4 plus 2 molecules of water, becoming 1 molecule of carbon dioxide, 4 molecules of hydrogen, and 151.3 kilojoules per mole of heat. Now, I don't want to open a chemistry book and try to figure out what every little detail means, but basically what this equation is saying is that this reaction produces hydrogen, which is shown on the bottom right in purple, and that CO2 is still produced. I will touch on that CO2 later. For now, let's continue to the meat of the process, how the fuel cell produces electricity. The fuel cell uses hydrogen produced earlier to create a movement of electrons, also known as current. This occurs by reactions between the anode, or positively charged electrode, and the cathode, or negatively charged electrode. On the anode side, which is shown by this black arrow, reactions starting with hydrogen and water create electrons. These electrons then flow to the cathode. The chemical equation for this reaction is 4 molecules of hydrogen, 4 molecules of carbonate becoming 4 molecules of water, 4 molecules of carbon dioxide, and 8 electrons. As mentioned before, these electrons run through an external circuit which produces the electric current that we get to use in our campus. The impact it has on our campus will be described later, but for now, just imagine it as a little green light bulb turning on. On the cathode side, we have a similar reaction occurring, except that atmospheric oxygen is being used. For this equation, 2 molecules of oxygen plus 4 molecules of carbon dioxide and 8 electrons that have been used up become 4 molecules of carbonate. The carbonate, which is highlighted by these red boxes, is reused by flowing through the fuel cell to the anode, where it is used in the previous reaction. During these reactions, it is important to note that a lot of waste heat is generated as electricity is produced. In our setup, that waste heat can be reused to upgrade the efficiency of the fuel cell by 10 to 15%. Now, it was a little complex so far, But now that we're done with all these figures in chemistry, let's reward ourselves with statistics and numbers that benefit the campus. According to the fuel cell energy report, 18% of CSUN's baseload requirement is met, and combined with the heat recovery system, it is 83% efficient. 22 billion BTUs, or British thermal units, of waste heat is harvested and used in the campus to heat the nearby pool in the USU. The CO2 that was left over from our very first reaction is fed into the nearby subtropical rainforest to reduce our CO2 emissions into the atmosphere. Finally, a major benefit is that the fuel cell reduces 100 tons of harmful pollutants, including nitrous oxides, sulfur oxides per year. And according to an article by Brenda Roberts, the fuel cell effectively reduces CO2 emissions by 60 million pounds during its lifetime. So to review, natural gas is converted chemically to hydrogen from the fuel stack. The fuel cell uses hydrogen in a chemical reaction to provide the movement of electrons to current. Finally, CO2, heat, and carbonate is recycled to continue the process and make it more beneficial for our campus. Here are some of the sources I've used, and I'd like to thank you for your time. Now we'll have Varun speak about concentrated photovoltaics.
Alright, good morning everyone. I'm Varun, and I'll be talking to you about the CPV arrays that we're currently in the process of installing. So what is a CPV? CPV stands for concentrated photovoltaic, and it's the combination of two previous technologies, CSP and PV cells. CSP, or concentrated solar power, this is when sunlight is first concentrated from a large area to a small area, and then this concentrated light is used to heat fluids at power plants, or in our case, is going to be directed at PV surfaces. PV cells, or photovoltaic cells, are material that converts sunlight directly to electric current using the photoelectric effect. This is when photons from sunlight excite a PV cell electron to a higher state of energy, which creates electricity. As you can see in the diagram, the red arrows are sunlight and the blue arrows are the electrons going to a higher state of energy, which is electricity. Here we have an image of the spectral lab CPV that we're currently in the process of installing. As you can see, there's three cells of PVC. There's a top cell, a middle cell, and a bottom cell. And there's two junctions in between. And this design actually works very well under high temperatures compared to PV cells. And here we have a graph that shows the current produced by these cells per wavelength of light. The red and blue lines represent the spectral lab cell that we're installing. And as you can see, that they produce a lot more current in higher frequencies compared to their competitors. And in this chart, this is a chart that compares the highest efficiency cells available in the market today. The purple line represents the Boeing Spectral Lab cell, and as you can see, it's the highest at 41.6%, whereas its highest competitor is only at 27.6%, which means our cell produced double their amount of electricity. And this new efficiency is the current world record at 41.6%, and right now they're working to maximize that to 50%. And thanks for your time, people.
Is the cameraman not going to speak?
Yeah, he is.
He's just nervous.
Let's go.
I can see the video now.
The cat's on.
Well, thank you, fellas. That was very good.
Yes.
Thanks for your time.
It's great to see Edmund in a tie.
Yeah.
It's done.
No, you guys did a great job. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the
And,
information.